I am done gatekeeping, guys. I'm done keeping this secret from you. Today, we're going to talk about the P's. I can't say the P word on social media, they will ban me. And it's not the porn word, but it's the P's that can change your experience with your freedom from your out of control sexual behavior. And today, we're going to be talking about Selank and Semax. Basically, these are Russian neuropeptides that help with different things. Semax helps with focus, with motivation, with learning, and Selank helps with relaxation and reducing anxiety because it works on your GABA receptors and it works on modulating serotonin without making you feel sleepy. I've been using these for about 6 to 7 years now. Obviously, I am no longer addicted to pornography, but I do have rather severe ADHD. I also have some other, let's just call them compulsive tendencies with things like sugar, with things like I'm a compulsive book buyer. It's really bad. I have a storage unit filled with books. Some of my clients know about this. I feel it's my responsibility to share how these have helped not just me, but our clients. And I'm going to do it in a very fair and balanced way if you've been curious. So these are very intriguing because they affect several of the systems that are involved in motivation, stress, cognition, and executive function, which affects porn addicts. But I want you guys to know that it's important to distinguish between the actual mechanisms that it helps and the actual evidence that it treats pornography addiction. And I have researched this for a very long time. So the truth is there are no high quality human clinical trials that shows that are going to reverse any brain changes for porn addicts, right? But I can tell you from personal experience that my brain function has significantly improved by using both of them, and it has worked for our clients as well. So I'm going to talk about how it helps with men who struggle with sexual behaviors, problems with masturbation and pornography, as well as people with ADD. The first is dopamine desensitization. Now, the idea behind Semax is not that it resensitizes your dopamine receptors. What Semax, this is Semax right here, what it actually appears to do is that it increases the expression of BDNF. BDNF is brain-derived nootropic factor. It just helps you to retain, think, and focus better. It improves the transmission of dopamine to different regions of the brain, and it enhances your brain plasticity. Basically, it helps you learn faster. So if dopamine receptors have become less responsive because you've overstimulated yourself with pornography for a long time, then your actual recovery is going to depend on obviously reducing that excessive stimuli. You're going to have to allow your receptors to regulate again and normalize over weeks to months. That's why it says it takes about 90 days to control your behavior with porn reboots. And Semax helps by supporting your brain's ability to adapt during your reboots rather than directly fixing your receptor sensitivity. So it's not fixing anything, it's just supporting you. Selank, on the other hand, there is little evidence that it does anything to affect dopamine. So if somebody claims that it's going to help you, it's going to affect dopamine directly, that is Selank, they're probably lying to you, okay? The second is reacting to cues. Now, when you struggle with a porn addiction, over time, you guys already know this, it's driven less by pleasure and more by all these things you're conditioned to do, conditioned cues. So some examples are you end up slipping and relapsing when you're bored, or when you find yourself alone, or there are certain websites or things you see while you're browsing that can trigger you, or around bedtime, or during stress. You pick your poison, but you know yourself. The point is that these cues are going to activate certain parts of your brain before your conscious decision making occurs. And that's why this is called a behavioral addiction, because the cue comes first. Now, Semax is the that helps here because it improves your prefrontal function and it increases it by releasing more BDNF, which helps to facilitate learning of new habits. So when you're trying to change a cue, this is going to help. Selank, on the other hand, it helps by dealing with stress and reducing anxiety, because what stress does is that it increases your reactivity to different things. And since Selank reduces anxiety, because what it does is that it modulates your GABA and serotonin system, a lot of the cues that would typically cause you to slip, they simply become less compelling. Neither reduces your reactivity to cues or completely removes them. It just supports you with those things. I want to be very clear about how realistically work. The third is reduced prefrontal cortex regulation, So this is where Semax, there's my Semax right here, has the strongest studies done on them. And I'm just going to take it straight from the animal studies, not human studies, okay? The animal studies actually show that with Semax, you can improve your attention, you can improve your working memory, you can improve your nootropic factors, you can improve your brain plasticity. So basically, if you're just like, well, JK, what does all of that mean? It means that you have better impulse control, you'll be better at delaying gratification, and you'll be better at decision making while you are rebooting. That is the purpose of all of this. Selank, on the other hand, is going to complement all of this by lowering any background anxiety you have. So it makes it so much easier for your prefrontal cortex to remain engaged instead of like shifting to emotional responses. For those of you who have ADD and ADHD, this helps. I take this in super stressful times in business because I'm less emotional and I am more likely to make logical based decisions. So if you find yourself in a very stressful situation, that is the time when you use this. The fourth way that they help with porn addiction is with tolerance and habituation. Again, let me put out the disclaimer. There is no scientific evidence that either is going to, let's say, restore the density of your dopamine receptors. There's no evidence that shows it's going to reverse your tolerance to certain types of pornography, or that it's going to make things that you used to enjoy more enjoyable overnight. Okay, the reality is you do have to reboot. That means in order for you to get your sensitivity back, there needs to be a prolonged reduction of that overstimulating behavior. You need boundaries. You need to allow your normal and healthy way of getting rewards to recover. And you need to actually have a lifestyle that's filled with rewarding activities, habit, lifestyle, self-image. Those are our pillars. And of course, you need to have meaningful goals. You need to have social activities. All of these things have to be in your life before you can use the. But Semax supports the process. Again, Semax is not a shortcut, but it does support it, which means that you don't need so much motivation to do these things and work on them. And the fifth is an altered response to stress, not a complete change, right? Selank definitely helps here. So this is what Selank does. I'll speak for myself, and you can go look up the studies as well. Selank, without a doubt, reduces anxiety. It reduces and normalizes your response to any sort of stress. It definitely improves emotional resilience. I sometimes look back to really stressful periods in my life when I was using them, and I'm just surprised I handled them so well. So stress, as you guys know, is one of the major triggers for using pornography. If you're the type of brother who typically turns to pornography when you are anxious or when you're overwhelmed or when you are lonely, or if you easily get frustrated and you're like, man, if I get frustrated for too long during the day, it's game over, then this is going to help. Because if you reduce your baseline stress level, then you're going to reduce the frequency of your relapses and your slips. So Semax actually also has some anti-stress properties, but it's generally considered to be more, I would say, cognitive. It's just for cognitive activation rather than calming you. Sometimes I'll just take Semax because I do feel it reduces my stress without needing the Selank. You can also combine them. You can stack them. And the reason why is that what it does is that they basically complement each other, okay? So let me just give you a quick overview again, because some of you might be new to the P word. Semax helps with cognitive enhancement, it helps with your executive function, it helps with neuroplasticity, and it helps with motivation. I just realized I might have said the P word out, so I might have to edit this video before we put it out there. And Selank reduces your anxiety, It helps you with emotional regulation. So your emotions are not all over the place. And when you slip or relapse, you're not up and down. It helps you with stress resilience, and it reduces, if you have a habit of compulsively responding to things, why do I do that all the time? It takes that away, right? So the hope is that when you put them together, it's easier to build healthier habits rather than suppressing urges. So where do both of these help in the stages of your reboot? They help in the early and middle stage of your reboot, and definitely in the late stage, but they help with the habits and lifestyle part before you change your self-image, right? For rebooting from a compulsive behavior with pornography or any other behavioral addiction, to be honest with you, you need to recognize that these are complements to systems that use things like in the porn reboot system, we use rational emotive behavioral therapy, we use cognitive behavioral therapy, we use acceptance and commitment therapy. These are all things that I'm certified in. We use mindfulness-based relapse prevention therapy. And of course, you need regular exercise, you need aerobic training, you need resistance training to spark BDNF, you need consistent sleep, you need to manage your environment to reduce exposure to cues and help you if you have ADHD, and you need to have great social connections and alternative behaviors in your life. In addition to both of these, right? These are the things that target the mechanisms that are going to strengthen your prefrontal cortex, that are going to reduce all the cues that lead to your behavior, that are going to allow you to process rewards. That means have a healthy relationship with dopamine over time. And these things happen in the habit and lifestyle part of your reboot. Both of these things, they do support your reboots, particularly when it comes to executive function, which is your Semax, and when it comes to reducing stress and anxiety, which is your Selank. But I do want to make it clear, there is no evidence that shows that it reverses your dopamine desensitization or eliminates your reaction to cues, or it treats compulsive behavior on its own, okay? These things are here to support it, right? They reduce overstimulation. They retrain your brain's reward and self-control system when they are used together with a system like the porn reboot system. I would love to hear all you guys' questions or concerns about the P word, especially Semax and Selank. I'll be very responsive in the comment section below. And of course, you can have access to these through our healthcare and fitness division, Optimum U, which has certified and trained professionals. You can get on a call. We can find out if these things are something that are suitable for dealing with your out of control behavior. It is not suitable for everybody. However, there are some individuals that have been struggling. Let me use myself for an example, and this isn't about pornography, it's about ADD and ADHD. Many years ago, in the middle stage of my reboot, I suspected that I was ADD, and I tried from friends and stuff like that, Ritalin and Adderall. The problem was those released too much norepinephrine and adrenaline, which were cues in my behavioral addiction, which simply means that I would just masturbate a lot more. So if you have ADD, ADHD, and let's say if you drink too much coffee, you take Adderall or a stimulant, you find that you're more likely to be not just aroused, but impulsive, then this is the place where something like Selank and Semax can help you. If you have ADHD and you have RDS, rejection sensitive dysphoria, this is a place where like this can help you reduce your anxiety. So basically, they help you get started in the process of going out there and speaking to people, or you can take them as needed, which, full disclosure, I do take them as needed when I feel that extraordinarily stressful time. I need to travel, I need to speak, I need to present, but at the same time, I might be dealing with the crises at home. This will usually happen 3 or 4 times a year. That is when I will take them as needed. But for the most part, most of our clients who are on these take them on a 7 days on and a 7 days off schedule, and they take them so that they can get through the part of their reboot that involves establishing good habits and boundaries, as well as living that lifestyle. When your brain rewires, you can decide if you want to keep using them. I use them as needed now because I'm past the maintenance stage. And my hope is that these become a difference maker for those of you who have been stuck for so long, especially those of you who do well for a certain period of time, and then you just don't have the resources to continue internally or mentally. These might be the thing that just takes you all the way. All right, tripping over my words. I appreciate you guys. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your questions in the comment section.